Washington Pod presents EARL Nightingale.
Poking around in the files, I ran across this item I'd clipped from an old newspaper. It's a United Press story, dateline San Pedro, California, and has to do with a family that inherited $200,000. What did they do with it? They blew it, as they put it, and today they're right back where they were before. The mother of 4 children, who lives with her husband and family in a rented home in San Pedro, inherited the money from her father's estate. It took 2 years for the lawyers to haggle and the government to scrape off its take, the lawyers to divvy up as much as they could lay their hands on, and when the smoke cleared 1 year later, there was a sum of $200,000 left after all taxes and expenses. That's a tidy sum. Properly invested, it could grow into $1 million before too long. But they managed to go through it in just 1 year. When asked how they managed to do it, the wife replied, "Well, we bought cars and motorcycles for the 2 boys and a truck and a $2,000 hi-fi with all the components and clothes, and we put a down payment on a house, and the girls and I all had our teeth kept, and I had my breasts lifted, and, oh yes, we bought ski equipment, and we traveled. We put 200,000 miles on one of the cars in 1 year, and we all saw psychiatrists." It seems all that money pulled the family right together, and they grimly went about the business of unloading it as fast as someone could think of something to buy, and it was only after the money was gone that the recriminations began. As the briefly rich daughter of the deceased put it, "We started fighting. They kept saying, 'Why didn't we spend it this way? Why did you spend it that way?' But they were there to spend it. If she had it all to do over again, well, she said, if our family was smart, we would have bought a few luxuries and invested the rest of the money. But did she honestly believe they'd do it that way? Nope, she said, I'd do exactly the same thing I did. I'd blow it." Well, I hope they had fun. It's their business, their money. But the day may come when they're a bit older that they'll start hitting each other over the head for not putting at least some of that loot to pasture, to grow for those important retirement years. The father could have avoided his daughter and her husband going on that 1-year spree if he had left a will and the money in trust for them. It would also have avoided the legal fees and the Uncle Sam's big bucket, and probably would have grown to $500,000 or so, with plenty of money still going to the daughter and her family, who could have gradually spent much more money for many more things over a much longer period of time, and still ended up well-to-do in their retirement years. Well, let's make sure we have a will. An attorney will help us draw one up so that what we leave will be disposed of as we think it ought to be. After all, it's our estate. I noticed that she mentioned last that they all saw a psychiatrist. Maybe that was their mistake. Maybe they should have seen him first. But it was their money. And as she said, when it finally came, it really wore us out spending it. We were just exhausted.